How's it hanging, YouTube? This is King of Feral Imps, and I finally have the brand new Heraldic Beast deck, and I'm just so pumped. I'm so excited. I'm so glad that my little beautiful beasts have finally gotten the support they need to be pretty good. So, of course, this is, well, not exactly the best deck. It's still relatively maybe tier 3, maybe it can sneak its way up into tier 2 as a rogue. But, you know, it's still good, and with the new support, it's definitely great. So I'm going to go ahead and get right started. First off, for monsters, I'm playing 3 of the Heraldic Beast Leo. This is your main card, of course, your Searcher. Anytime he's sent to the graveyard, search a Heraldic Beast, and it's not optional, so of course, this cannot miss timing. You do need to be careful, because if you, for whatever reason, if you don't want to add a Heraldic Beast, which, why would you? You're going to anyway, with his effect. So, of course, since it can't miss timing, you can go ahead and anytime he's like detached as Xyz material or used for any cost, as long as he hits the graveyard, he's going to search. He also kills himself during the end phases of the turn he's normal summoned, so that can help essentially go kind of maybe card-D-ish. I compare him to like that in a way, but he's great. This is pretty much your best card. Then following up, is the 3 Heraldic Beast Aberconway. Of course, I mentioned this before. This one's the Wind Dragon. His effect's not the best. It's useful. If you have 2 in the grave, banish 1, add back another Heraldic Beast. So really, you'll only ever be using it on Leo or maybe the other one. But he's here because he's a good beater, he's a name, and he's a wind. You know, he's good, but he's joined by his brother, the best new one, Heraldic Beast Amphisbaena. This card is Bay. Like, literally, it's got Bay in the name. I'm serious. I love this card so much. It's the new Bay. So, what does he do? Well, he's a Wind Dragon also, and you can go ahead and discard another Heraldic Beast to special summon him from the hand. Pretty good. So, of course, you're going to be discarding Leo, because Leo's going to search, you know, discard Amphisbaena, search off a Leo, search another Heraldic Beast, and then go ahead and normal summon, and you have a decent little, cute little Xyz play with the Bay. He also has the effect that if he's on the field, you can discard a Heraldic Beast to pump him up to 2500, which is actually useful because he actually gets stronger than most of the Xyz monsters you play. Some people say they don't ever use this effect, but oddly enough, I found myself using this effect. This card is just so amazing. I love it so much. Like I said, the new Bay. I'm still playing I guess a high count of Eagle, 2 of them. You could bring it down to 1. I had it at 3 for the longest time because I love this card. This card's still amazing, but it's kind of outshined by the Bay. But he's got the effect that if he's in the graveyard, you can banish him and then take 2 other Heraldic Beasts and refill an Xyz monster with materials. So that's pretty useful. It's still good. He's Wind, and like I said, you could bring him down to 1, but I'm still a little attached to him. Play him at 2. Who knows though? I play 2 of the Unicorn because Unicorn is just so much more useful now that we have a viable Psychic Xyz monster in the extra deck for this deck. In different builds, I guess I've used only 1 Eagle and 3 Unicorn because I honestly really do want to max out on Unicorn. I might play around with the numbers a bit. Basically, if he's in the graveyard, you can banish him to reborn a Psychic Xyz monster, but its effect is negated, so it's still so good because with the new Xyz monster, it's great. And then 1 Basilisk. I still like the 1 Basilisk because he's just some solid monster destruction, and because he's a crazy chicken, man. And lastly is the 1 YuGiOh because before YuGiOh was never good, but now that you have the Amphisbaena and he can summon himself along with another Heraldic Beast, you can actually have the requirement to summon YuGiOh, and YuGiOh's, you know, you control 2 Heraldic Beasts, you can special summon him. His effect is actually good and useful now, and you can use it to continue making some good Xyz monster plays. That's all for Heraldic Beasts. The only other monster is the triple Kage Tokage for the Xyz monster plays. Now I know that Summoner Monk is used and sometimes, but I really don't like Summoner Monk in this deck, mostly because even though you play you play multiple copies of your good spells, I still just want to keep my good spells. And I feel that there's enough rank 4 power with just the Kages, the Bays, and your other spells. That's all for monsters. Moving on to the spells, just 1 Foolish Burial. I mean, you do play, there's a lot of graveyard sending power, but I still like Foolish Burial for just sending a Leo to get a search, or maybe ditching a... sometimes I find myself ditching an Aberconway to get the search off, or ditching an Eagle or a Unicorn to go in and get their effects off. It's still very useful because this is a very graveyard heavy deck. Then is the triple MST, because I like triple MST. I had it at 2 for a while in this deck, but 3 is just so useful because being able to kind of hit Cliff Forts and being able to just hit problem things. Even though Floodgates are nerfed, it helps to hit the ones that do surface. I might want to play a Book of Moon in this also, but right now I'm still doing some testing. Then for the Heraldic Beast specific stuff, 2 of the Reborn. Reborn's alright. Sometimes I would play it at only 1. I've been kind of wanting to play it at 3, but it still gets outshined by its big brother, Advanced Heraldry Art, which there are 3 of. You know, go ahead and summon 2 Heraldic Beasts from the graveyard, and special summon 1 Xyz monster. It's instant Xyz monster, and you know, in this deck you can just keep spitting them out very easily. And then last spell, the brand new Augmented Heraldry. Now this is a big effect card. What it does is that it protects your Psychic type light Xyz monsters, and as long as it's face up, they can't be targeted by effects. It also has the nifty little effect that you can go ahead and discard a Heraldic Beast to add a Heraldry spell. So you can go ahead and discard your Leo, and then search for a Advanced, and then you get a search off a Leo. Sometimes what I do, maybe a first turn, is go ahead and use Augmented Heraldry, ditch Leo, search for a Reborn. Then whatever I search off a Leo, I normal summon, and then Reborn Leo, make an Xyz monster, and then normally Augmented Heraldry will stick around to protect it. And I can go ahead and use it this turn. Oh, also, if you use the effect that you discard a monster to search something, you can't special summon anything for the rest of the turn except Heraldic Beast or Psychic type Xyz monsters, which is where the Kage Tokage kind of becomes a bit weak. But I still would rather play Kage Tokages over Summoner Monks because I don't like discarding my beautiful, beautiful spells. And speaking of which, that's all for spells. Lastly, for traps, just basic stuff: Solemn Warning, Bottomless Trap Hole, a Compulsory Evacuation Device, a Ring of Destruction, as well as a Torrential Tribute, because your stuff really does not mind being destroyed. Everything's going to get an effect, or it's going to come back. So Torrential Tribute is just some good removal, you know, for basic stuff. And then just the 2 Mind Crushes, which I had it at 3 for a while, but it's at 2 now. I might bring it back up to 3 for something. Mind Crush is just so good in this format, especially now because you know, with the searching you can just go ahead and pop something out, and if you ever do call wrong for whatever reason, if you use it blindly, you can ditch a Leo, get a search off Leo. Sometimes I find myself using this and not knowing what my opponent has in hand, but just using it as a way to discard Leo and get a search and then get things rolling from there. But it really is nice. It really helps that if you, against Burning Abyss, to just, you know, pop out the tour guide, because I actually did that once back when the deck had 3 tour guides, and it's even better now when there's only 1. Yeah, so that's... Oh, and how could I forget? The last trap, Venus Chain. This stops your monster effects, because this is what you need. Of course, you could play the Breakthrough skill, and that could help because it double negates, but at the moment playing Venus Chain to also stop attacks as well, and keep up the negation of the effects. And that's all for the main deck. That should be 40 cards this time. It is, trust me, probably. Now for the extra deck. Of course, your Psychic Xyz monsters. I was playing 3 of Prodigy, just because he's so amazing, but I cut it down to 2 for 2 Prodigy, 1 Prodigy, and then 1 Genome. What Prodigy does, or Patriarch, shoot, I'm not used to his new name, sorry. Patriarch, what Patriarch does is he's 2000, and he's generic, so you can go ahead and make him with Kages, should you need to. So what he does is, he's got a weird long effect, but basically, if there are 2 monsters on the field with the same name, you can destroy one of them, and your opponent can't summon any monsters with that same name as long as this dude's face up. So you can kind of stall. In the mirror match, it's kind of fun to make this, and if you are smart with your chains and know when and how to resolve the effect, then you can go ahead and stun your opponent out of summoning a Patriarch for the whole game, pretty much, and you can keep yours, and it's nice and pretty. Also, he has the amazing effect that when he's destroyed and, you know, sent to the graveyard, you can go ahead and send 2 Heraldic Beasts from your deck to the graveyard, and that itself is probably one of the best effects. So, you know, he make this with some materials. When he's destroyed, go ahead and send the Leo and the Unicorn. Leo's going to net you a search, and then Unicorn's going to be sitting there nice and pretty to go ahead and banish, and then bring him back, and he's just a nice 2,000 beater, and guess what? He gets destroyed again. You do the same thing, or you send more, you send your Aberconways or whatever. Now, number 8, this is the dude that, he's been their Xyz monster for the longest time, and he's a 2400 beater, but he requires Heraldic Beast specifically, so you can't make this with the Kage Tokage. Normally, you'll be bringing this out with the Advanced Heraldry Art. He's got a decent effect, is that basically he steals away your opponent's Xyz monster. If there's another Xyz monster on the field, you can go ahead and target it, and negate its effect, and make its attack 0. And then his attack becomes the original attack, so, and that's without detaching any Xyz materials, and he also gains their effect. So basically, you steal away your opponent's Xyz monster, just like in the anime. Those things become like tentacles, and they just grab or whatever. Anyway, yeah, this one's pretty useful, but Patriarch is just probably the best one, and I really want to bring it to 3, and I might just end up bringing it to 3 instead of 2 because I just love it. It's gonna end up recurring a lot with the playing the Unicorn, but like I said, I really want to play around with the numbers a bit, maybe play 3 Patriarch, 3 Unicorn, just because of how much I love this card and how good it is. And of course, it can't be targeted as long as you have Augment Heraldry on the field. And yep, that's it. The rest of the Xyz monsters in the deck are just going to be generic rank 4s. Just whatever you have. I don't have the best stuff. This Dweller, maybe King of the Pharaoh Imps, 1 copy of myself. I'm playing that, of course, to search the Kage Tokages, and I really wish more of the Heraldic Beasts were Reptile. None of them are. The Lavolval Chain, I guess I could talk about this. Lavolval Chain is very useful because should you be in the position where you have maybe a Kage and another Heraldic Beast and then no Augment Heraldry, you can go ahead and make a Lavolval Chain and ditch a Leo and then get things rolling. You know, kind of thin out your deck and then, like I said, just get things rolling. And then, of course, just whatever generic rank 4s you have. Really not much else to talk about. Diamond Dire, I guess. Diamond Dire you can use to, you know, pop a Leo, get a search, whatever. And then Lightning Chidori, of course, is probably one of the other great things because you play so many winds, especially with the brand new Bay being a wind. You can easily make this, and I actually want to get a second one probably because it's just so good being able to bounce things. It's actually kind of got maybe, I guess you could argue it's got better bouncing power than Castel. I guess that's like your opinion or whatever, but of course you can always, the beauty about Chidori is, and Castel, and everything in this extra deck, is that you can go ahead and refill it with Eagle's effect. And yeah, that's all for the extra deck. So anyway, that has been it for the Heraldic Beast deck profile as of May 2015. Yeah, we're in 2015 now. Yeah, this is just my personal build, what I'm playing and what I've been playing. I really love this deck. I've loved it for a while. As you know, this is probably how I got most of you to subscribe, by just talking about this deck and about the support that should have come out, but hasn't till now. The deck just works so much better now, having just better engines in it and just better searching things. And this especially, this is like 2 Foolish Barrels, dudes. It's amazing. Everything in the deck just works so well together. It's a very consistent deck, but of course it can lose out to a lot of things, just being if it's outpaced or if it gets stunned or anything. You can, of course, if you want to play this, go ahead and please change something up, because this probably does have some problems with the getting Dijin locked. So you might want to just play more Destruction, maybe the Regeki and the Dark Hole. This is what's working out for me. Like I said, I've been playing this deck for like years now. I played it ever since Cosmo Blazer, and we got Leo. So I've just seen the deck evolve so much, and I've really come to love it. But again, you know, this is my personal build. Give me your suggestions in the comments below, and let me know how I can improve it. So anyway, if you enjoyed the content, remember to subscribe. Also leave a like to show your support. This has been King of Pharaoh Imps. Have a nice day and enjoy the new bay.